I really want women to see all these examples of why men are not only bad leaders, their confidence is gonna ruin your life and maybe get them or both of y'all or your whole family, okay? Now, when I talk about these men, I'm not just talking about these guys. Back to him in a minute, because that guy has a lot in common with this guy, a billionaire, and this guy, a billionaire, and this guy, remember this guy, y'all, and this guy. I gotta do this. Join my Patreon. I got a Patreon. I share all kinds of stuff over there. Photos. I do lives. I do all kinds of stuff. Please go check it out. Link is in my caption. Comment, share, like. Tell me what you think about all this. Tell me other stories. Tell me things you want me to research that are, whatever. And thank you for being here. You see, what all these dudes have in common is they are overconfident in their leadership abilities. They also have an explorer mindset, which, if you know anything about colonization, that isn't always something you should be bragging about. Curiosity is one thing, but this desperate need to explore and conquer things, it's not really cool to do that. Even though we worship these explorers, still, they are literally ruining the planet. Literally, y'all, this is a deep dive in what all these dudes have in common, because not only are they really selfish and are terrible leaders, have poor judgment, and seem to hate themselves on some level, which is really kind of behind so many of the world's problems. Self-hatred, especially when powerful white men have it. But that not only they put themselves in danger, that'd be fine. You want to climb Everest and die up there, that's fine. Or get in a tin can and die in the bottom of the ocean, that's fine, I guess. Although you're wasting a lot of resources and it's not good. But when you put your kids in that little submarine, or you decide to jump off a mountain in one of these and strap your dog to it, or, you climb and you're an explorer and you leave 3 children behind. This is a great movie. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Your decision to be selfish and reckless and not really value your own human life is directly impacting, at the bare minimum, the people who love you, but sometimes the whole globe, because these little Titan submarine, the motive behind that is so much worse than we realize. Okay, so let's start small. Let's start with the dudes who have who have the least impact on a lot of people. So this is Dean Pod, one of the most famous climbers of, I guess, my generation or whatever. Shocker, he died. And he didn't have kids, thank God, but he had a longtime girlfriend and he had a dog. And the danger he put this dog in, bro, it's okay if you want to climb up El Cap yourself, but when you bring your dog up there, I don't know. I mean, this is the dog is not consenting to this. That is like bringing a child up there. I mean, same thing kind of goes with this dude, Alex from Free Solo. I really got to watch that movie again. This dude, I don't have a problem with him in general. I'm not saying these dudes are bad people. I'm saying that when you continue to solo and do all this stuff, your wife chose to attach herself to this, but your kids didn't. And that's what I have a problem with. If you decide to marry one of these climbers, just know what you're signing up for. But if you want to have kids and you have a baby and then a toddler and your job is putting yourself in harm's way all the time, I don't know. Maybe be a little bit more careful at the very least. I mean, anyway, I got to do I did a breakdown on him and then it didn't. It got erased during all this, and all that work was lost, and I haven't been able to go back and do it again because I was so frustrated. He does good stuff. He's calmed down a little bit, but I'm just like, dads are, in general, the biggest threat to their children and their wives. And then, this is next level, what? Now, for anyone new here, I am not against the outdoors. I worked in the outdoors. That is me right there, right there. I was a whitewater raft guy for 6 seasons, But my first day on this river in New Mexico, first trip ever down the Rio Grande, someone died right in front of me because of a reckless man. And this was a mother and her daughter watched her die. So since then, I have been, even though when I'm doing my thing with myself, like not leading trips, I might take more chances. Now that I actually have a full life and I'm married and I have a dog and I have friends and family that care a lot about me, I'm a little less reckless because I know that that's part of the social contract of the more people in my life that I'm linked to, the bigger the consequences outside of myself. So when I lived this life, like lived in my truck for 5 years, wandering around, climbing, working outdoor adventure jobs, living in a truck, I was single and I didn't have kids. But men almost always hook up with women, bring women into this little universe and teach them how to climb so they can be their blindness. And so or they just rely on women for something. Some of them are lone wolves, but I promise you at a certain point, these dudes, and if you live in a ski town, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These little hobos, okay? They're called dirt bags in the climbing community. Proceed with a lot of caution. Just so you know, I was like so known for being like a storyteller that was like a risk taker and whatever. I mean, I was reckless. But again, I was never dating anyone when I was reckless. Definitely wasn't married to anyone. Definitely didn't have anyone depending on me to feed them. I was on a National Geographic show about the survivor brain. And they like threw me off a cliff in this car on a cable and measured my brain waves and maybe do all these weird little things. I don't know. It was bizarre, honestly. But just so you know, I know this world. And you know, if you're going to be Uncle Traveling Matt going on an adventure, Uncle Traveling Matt did not have a wife and kid. So if you want to see a great movie about this, is Alex Lowe's family. These are the 3 kids he left behind. And then the climber that was with him on that expedition where Alex Lowe died and his climbing partner, Conrad, did not. Conrad went on to marry Alex's wife and adopted his son. But he still went out climbing and taking a lot of risks. And part of it's because that's his job. But these poor kids. I mean, even though the son, Max, who made it, he doesn't resent his dad. And what's great about that movie, Torn, is that, you know, you get the child's perspective. I love the outdoors. And people who are in the outdoors understand why it's so important. And I love adventures. And I think an adventurous, pushing yourself and all that stuff and within in a healthy level is great. And if you know climbers or you've been a climber, you know why they like have this need to do that. My problem is when they throw their whole family under the bus because they just need to do it. Especially if it's not their career. If it's their career, then you have to be more calculated. And even as Conrad Anker said himself, the value proposition of risk. It's an honest portrait, that movie, of how death in the mountains ends up defining the people who live on in the death shadow. And men who are risk takers, the more like insecure and especially if they're an addict, right? Some of these men, they would be addicts, but they chose the outdoors instead. And so they're adrenaline junkies. I mean, there's a reason why they say junkie. It is an addiction. Now, this can be healthy. It's healthy. But when you're doing it to run from something because you have to, because you can't sit with yourself, that's when it's no longer a healthy outlet. That's when it becomes you avoiding yourself. And anytime you're doing anything to avoid yourself, whether it's jumping into a new relationship, relationships are addictions too, or deciding you just have to climb Everest, you need to sit with that. Probably some trauma, something you're not dealing with. And the people who are going to pay the price, especially if you are a man, is your children, if you have them, and any of your partner. I highly suggest this movie. It's one of the only movies that I've seen where it calls out the selfishness of these men, while also the delicate balance of trying to let people be who they are, right? But my problem is that men, because of their entitlement under patriarchy, they take all these risks. They love adventure. They want to be important. They want to win at something. And they don't know what to do without like something to conquer, because that's that mindset. Under patriarchy, white supremacy culture, and colonizer mentality, I gotta be the best. I gotta conquer Mother Nature, which is so like grape culture if you think about it. Would you conquer Father Time? Because this dude who took his dog off the cliff, that guy not only did not value, he just didn't value human life. Partly because he didn't value his own human life. And he didn't value dog life either. And he didn't value the lives of people he didn't know and understand, because he had that mindset of I'm the main character. Because this is also what that dude did. He climbed one of the arches in Arches National Park, which is illegal to climb because it is protected area and it is sacred to indigenous people, Native Americans. And this was his, I didn't see any moral reason not to climb it. It didn't hurt it. Though rope grooves in the soft sandstone were later found possibly created by him, like he was constantly, and this is big in the climbing community, and there's starting to be change because, you know, I mean, the climbing world tends to be a bunch of like privileged white people. It is changing, but it's like we should have access to anything we want at all times because that's a great wall. I really want to climb it mentality. That's not what we ought to be doing. I mean, anyway, it's just still that colonizer mindset, right? But he lost his sponsorship over this, which I'm glad he did. He had no business climbing sacred. Oh my God. He also died jumping in this wingsuit because he was just all about jumping and being able to jump wherever you want. It's like, bro, you don't get access. Is like, this is the thing. This is that entitlement of patriarchy and white supremacy culture, of like, why don't I get to do that? I should have access to everything, even though it's literally stolen land. So when he jumped off of his last thing in the wingsuit or whatever, a guy who really looked up to him, a younger guy, followed his lead, and both of them died. And Potter's girlfriend was photographing them when it happened. I was like, I cannot imagine worse. Literally being like, right? And one of his projects was trying to like make money off of this when dogs fly. Literally strapping his dog that he just loves so much, because a lot of men, especially if they're addicts and have this addict mentality, they don't know how to take care of other people, but dogs love them. Why do dogs love them? Because dogs love people like unconditionally. They are so loyal to, they'll go anywhere. They'll do anything. But they also can't be like, I don't like this idea. Can you not take me? Right? Like a dog is not meant to jump off of a cliff. Like this is a photo of him in one of these suits. And like all men who know they need some social capital, he wasn't a father, but he was a dog dad, and family was so important to him. Anytime, I'm telling you, every time men brag about their family, but are clearly like doing whatever they want, don't buy it. This dude is not a family man. But I congratulate him on not having children. Thank you for not abandoning and leaving this gaping wound of daddy issues to whoever would have been born to you. I love ambition. I love courage. I love risk taking. But this, I have never been okay with soloing. I mean, unless you are not dating or married to someone and you don't have kids, then you do you, bro. But I want us to stop glamorizing this. That's why I make these videos. If you want to date a bad boy, but he just has a harness instead of a motorcycle, you do you. Because I know that, and if you really only date bad boys, you might want to consider codependency or something, because a lot of times the women who date men like this are doing it. Well, that's a whole nother video. But the idea that maybe they'll stop doing this for us because they love us so much, you know, like that whole thing of like us taming the beast, Beauty and the Beast. I hate that movie so much. I'll never forgive them for that message. It is so ingrained in us to be like, oh, I know, if he loves me enough, he'll stop drinking. He'll stop doing this. He'll stop doing la 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 la. They're not going to stop. If they're truly like addicted to this stuff, they ain't stopping for you. It's not about you. It's about them and whatever it is that's driving them to do this. So I'm not saying these are bad guys. I'm just saying they are not great partners. And please don't think that this is going to end well. Sometimes it will. I'm not against climbers. I'm against the ones who are doing it to escape, who are doing it recklessly and selfishly because of that entitlement that they never question, in terms of the consequences of all their actions always fall on anyone dependent on them or tied to them, and it's usually women. So even if they're not married or dating women or whatever, if this dude falls and has breaks his back, who's taking care of him? Anyone he's dating, his sister, his female friends, his mom. But you know who's not going to take care of this man? It's any of the dudes in that world. They're not doing it. I'm telling you. When I tore my ACL in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, when I was a ski instructor, not a single man did anything in that town. Not a single dude did anything. They didn't even call and check in on me. But the women did. And as Conrad Anker points out, you know, people who do risky jobs like firemen, policemen, whatever, you know the job. People don't judge them the way they do climbers, and that's a fair argument. There are certain jobs that are just risky, but we also know that 43% of police officers self-reported beating their wives, and that firemen oftentimes are covert narcissists or whatever, like the hero complex, the hero in the community, and they end up torturing their families, because a lot of times the men who go into stuff like this, whether it's an honorable one or like a bad boy one like this, a lot of times there's something in them that is driven to be like approval seeking. I need everyone to think I'm amazing, I'm a hero, or worships me. They think I'm like the good guy, but behind closed doors, that's not who they are. But let's talk about billionaires, because it's the same mentality with these dudes. They're just addicted to money and adventure and stuff. But that like this dude, I did a video on him like a year ago, but I gotta revisit. This dude is so scary. And he is like doing some crazy experiments with his son. God. But these are the people who are ruining the planet right now. These are the people whose financial decisions and all the stuff they're creating is literally impacting all of us. And some of the stuff they're doing is creating an economy, and it just has consequences that literally starves people, is making the climate so that we are having disasters that wipe out people. And yet we still worship sickos like this. So why did I start down this little deep dive? Because that Titanic submersive thing, that thing that happened like almost exactly a year ago, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna do it again with another one. This time it's Larry Connor, some 74-year-old white dude, billionaire. And I love, by the way, a real estate billionaire. Given our housing crisis right now, I'm assuming that you do terrible things. Now, every time they keep saying, oh, they're going to do scientific research, blah, blah, blah. Don't believe it. It's so much worse. But that in a minute. By the way, if you've gotten this far into this video, will you tell me? Because I want to know, I'm curious how much people are watching this. Like, just comment and say something about like 12,500 feet under. I'm just doing a little experiment. I don't know if I should do long form comment stuff like this or not, or if y'all want me to wrap it up soon. Ours is not just a trip to the Titanic, it's a research mission. Oh, I know what they're researching. But they're also trying to rebrand this whole thing. We just want people to know that like that other thing was like not us. That's not what it is. It's safe. Tourism for rich people is totally safe. Just let us keep doing this. And they keep wanting people to think that this is about the Titanic. It's not. It's not. And again, they'll always use the word exploration. I want people to question that word more. My interest, it stems from advancing exploration. Now, if these dudes were actual scientists, like scientists exploring and trying to figure out things in the world and the impact, especially if it's about the environment and stuff, go for it. But billionaires who want to, explore and hide behind research when really it's always about money or their ego. It's always about money or their ego. Now, the billionaires, they don't live in their van, and they're not dirt bags who eat trash, like dumpster diving. I used to do that too, y'all. Trader Joe's is a great place to dumpster dive. I got stories about that. Let me know if you want to hear. But it's the same mentality. The like anti-capitalist dirtbag and who is like a adrenaline junkie and thinks that they're better than everyone else because they climb, but are reckless and selfish and want to explore things that are sacred and all that stuff. That like the same mentality is there. And if those guys get injured and can't climb anymore, good luck. You don't want to be in a house with one of those dudes. If they really can't be at peace with themselves ever, if they're not climbing, that is not someone that you want to be linked to. You will be a hospice wife. Just know that. Because remember, in sickness and in health, it's only for her. If she gets sick, he's cutting and running. Statistically speaking, that is her fate. He ain't taking care of you, but you're taking care of him. He's like, look, that one little accident hurt the whole industry. Don't think bad of the industry. There's a reason why they want to rebrand this stupid industry that is like billionaire tourism, but it's not even about the billionaire tourism. And we're not big risk takers. No, we're smart about it. Yeah, that's what that other dude thought. I mean, he's like, well, I'm not a risk taker, but they're all like this. Record-setting skydiver, astronaut, and deep slit. Like, bro, good judgment does not come to mind when I look at just from this tiny little snapshot of your resume. And I'm sorry, but anybody who was a part of this, like, y'all, rich people should not be able to, the amount of fuel and resources and damage that these dumb flights for private tourists to go to space, like that should be outlawed. I don't want rich people being like, I feel dead inside. I want to go to space. Mount Everest, space, to go see the Titanic. It's all the same. But that's what they're trying to do. He was a part of this thing, the foray into space tourism. Are you kidding me? This is so insulting to all the people who can't afford housing and food. And the colonizer mindset is like, I know, well, this planet we've already trashed. Let's go to space. We'll go colonize space and create another hell not on Earth, right? Like, I swear, this capitalist, hierarchical mindset and domination of patriarchy, white supremacy culture, it is like a cancer. We're all gonna die if we keep worshiping dudes who think like this. Now, some people missed being a part of this tragedy because they could see that this dude was nuts. So this dude's son saved his life. The whole reason my dad didn't go is because I told him, dude, this submarine cannot survive going deep in the ocean. So this 20-year-old, I love that he called his dad dude, was like, this dude's nuts. Will you just not trust this psycho? This is why I will always, as much as I love to think that there is a lot of wisdom in older generations, I know I have a lot of wisdom. I also look to the youth for wisdom too, because they call older people out on our crap all the time. To me, the best society is one that really values the opinions and the insight and the input of everyone, right? Including people younger than us. I've learned more about healthy dating from my younger female friends than anyone older than me, or even my age. Now, there's a few exceptions, but just saying. And if nothing gave me more hope like the protests at the universities in the last weeks ago. So we got to listen to the youth. They got to listen to us, but we got to listen to them. So that dude who was obsessed, he was like a snake oil salesman, I swear to God. And this is like what I'm saying. Just because a man is really confident in his idea, or just because, I don't know, your boyfriend who climbs is like, no worry, we'll be fine. I want you to side-eye everything he does. Unless he has a consistent background of making really good decisions and is humble enough to know when he's in over his head, do not believe him just because he's confident in himself. As I've made many, many videos about this, the men in the outdoors, a lot of those leaders do not have the emotional intelligence and the humility and the thoughtfulness of a leader, which is what our leadership requires. And so they're like, oh, I don't care, like whatever, I'll be fine, because that entitlement under patriarchy makes them think that they are so just out of the gate Amazing, right? And as a writing coach, I saw this all the time. Women that I would coach were like, I don't know, should I post it? And they're always underselling themselves. And I'm like, no, this story is great. Pitch it to like the biggest pubs. And the guys sometimes that I would coach, they wanted to be in New York Times right away. And I'm like, whoa, bro, you've never written anything. So it's like, we need to do this. I'm here to gas women up and be like, please believe in yourself more. And men to stop believing so much in yourself, okay? Now, the dad was like, kind of sketched out by it because the billionaire was like, no, this is safer than flying a helicopter. He was a good guy, great heart, really believed in what he was doing and saying, but he didn't want to hear anything that conflicted with his worldview, and he would just dismiss it. I love how he's like, he's a good guy, billionaire, who was responsible for getting all those people dead. He's a good guy, good heart. I'm not saying these guys are bad or evil, but they're selfish and they're entitled and they're delusional and they're gonna bring 5 people down to go. Can you imagine that kind of death? I still have nightmares when I imagine what it was like being with those people, especially that kid. I'm gonna get to him in a bit. Teenager, but I can imagine. This is like my idea of a nightmare. He absolutely believed that what he was saying. Exactly. Narcissists always believe what they're saying too, but I didn't want to get into safety concerns anymore because he was so vested in his position. And again, they said, oh, he's doing research and scientific endeavors. Wait to see what that's about. Like that dude even offered him a discount. I was like, come on, go. $100,000 discount off each ticket. He was this is all of them. This is so insightful because this is really how they think. He was so passionate about his project and he was such a believer. He drank his own Kool-Aid. Much like a cult leader, these dudes are like, I have the solution. Please do not believe overconfident men. There was just no talking him out of it. You do not ever want to trust a man you cannot talk out of something, even when you have literal proof that it's dangerous, like that dude had. He said, I don't think Stockton understood the risk himself. Of course not. I don't think this dude was like, I know, I'm going to take them down there and kill all of us. No, he was just, this is what I'm saying, this overconfidence, this hubris. And one of his mistakes is he didn't have an independent body review his work, and he didn't take any criticism seriously. That is why deflating the ego of these men is a critical, like, green or red flag. Being able to sit with feedback, you don't have to agree with it, and you may decide, you always want to have this balance between following your intuition and what you know a lot about, and being willing to listen to feedback, take it in and consider it. But this dude wouldn't listen. Like, his first red flag was when this guy arrived in Vegas at the different airport. And it's because he's like, yeah, I built the plane with my hands and I'm test flying it right now. And we were like, what? And then when this dude found out that the subversive was piloted by a video game controller, he was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to my son. My 20-year-old son knows more than this delusional psycho. But this guy believed in himself. He fully believed in himself. Just like the climbers who did all, like Dean Potter was just like literally fighting the police all the time to be able to jump wherever he wanted, hiding out. And while I am never gonna side with the police, really, I can. There is a reason why there are rules for a reason when it comes to stuff like that. And it is because to not endanger search and rescue, to not endanger or harm wildlife, because they have a right to just go wherever you want, do whatever you want, because you have the money or the means or the will or the overconfidence. That needs to be put in check. So this dude and all the other dudes suffered from the same thing. And I'm going to get to him in a minute, but I want to show another reason why you shouldn't trust these fools. Because allegedly that teenager, the 19-year-old, was terrified and only did that because he wanted to make his daddy happy. So the Pakistani billionaire brought his 19-year-old son. Now, his mom doesn't agree with this, but I'm kind of going to trust the sister on this one. The sister, which was his older sister, right? So the 19-year-old's aunt, said that he was trying to do his Titanic obsessed father. He agreed to go because it was Father's Day and he wanted to make him happy, but that he had told family members he was concerned about the tour and wasn't very up for it. And it was on Father's Day weekend. He was keen to please Dad. I swear, y'all, it's like like if the dads don't put their own children at risk, children who desperately want their father's approval, myself included, will do all kinds of nonsense to just feel loved by these men who don't parent their own children or who put all these other things above their children. You're competing with the Titanic for attention. And anybody who knows what it's like to have a father that puts exploring the Titanic in a submarine, or, I don't know, watching football all the time, or climbing, or drinking, or whatever. Any child who knows what it's like to have a father who centers himself and his escapism and his hobbies and whatever it is he wants to watch on TV over spending time with their kids, you know what it's like to be jealous of something stupid, to be jealous of a bottle of vodka, to be jealous of football or the Titanic. Like, of course this kid's gonna go down with his dad. He would win points and feel validation and love for just that little trip. So even though 5 years before this trip, this dude rang the alarm on how unsafe these dudes are. Like, whistleblower was like, hey, there are visible flaws. That dude, nothing deterred this billionaire from his vision, his confidence. Which again, is just this. I want to go to the ocean. I want to see Titanic. I know what's best for me. Just like a toddler, but with a lot of power and money and a giant body. You try to deter a toddler from not drinking poison under the counter. Like, we know that the king babies are just children. And I'm so sorry, it's insulting to children. But we know anybody who is, and I used to be a nanny, if you've dealt with small children, 1, 2, 3-year-olds and whatever, they have a death wish. They can't comprehend how dangerous things are. And your job is to keep them from not unaliving themselves. But they have a legit reason. Their brain hasn't developed yet. But billionaires who also worship billionaires, there's no deterring them. So this is the dude, dad, and this is his wife, which this dynamic is a whole nother video. She's a life coach. You should have coached your own husband, because his decisions in life were not great. Anyway, she's defending him, being like, no, I was supposed to go. My son was so excited. But I'm always going to believe the aunt, because the aunt, her image isn't tied to being the whatever. And I know that we blame women. See, I just did it there. Why didn't you coach your husband? So, see what I mean? We hold women accountable for the decisions of their partners, their husbands, their sons, their dads even. So it doesn't surprise me that she's like, no. Because we know that we're just always going to blame the wife instead of the man for his reckless decisions. The reason why the sister was estranged is because he disapproved of her medical cannabis use. But she was still close to that nephew. And if we know anything about aunts and uncles, we are the people that children will talk to about things that are afraid to talk to their own parents about. Sometimes small things. Aunt Jackie on Roseanne. Hello. That's why that's kind of their role, is to be the person that's safe to talk about when they're afraid to talk to their parents about something. So one of the friends was like, I can't imagine, like, it's not that I think that the dad knew the danger involved, but the dad's own poor judgment and his own worship of billionaires and their judgment is and his own obsession with like adventure and proving things and whatever. Again, if you are a billionaire, that is already a red flag to me. If you are a billionaire, my assumption is that you're doing something unethical, or that you have the addictive mindset, because just like any addiction, it's never enough. Sorry, it's hot in here. It's never enough. Oh, $1 million's not enough. How about 100 million? How about 500 million? How about 1 billion? So again, it's not like anybody thought that this dude purposely put his son at risk. No father ever does, I hope, unless they're a sociopath. But just because they didn't purposely do it doesn't mean that we shouldn't criticize why they were so bad at this. Or if anything else, I just want women to stop trusting the judgment of men who think they are the leader. If we know anything about men, they are followers because of that hierarchical mindset that comes with all these systems. But patriarchy is about falling in line, and they all want to be the leader, and so they follow anyway. God. So the aunts, they basically, this was her baby brother. The family cut her off more or less because she got multiple sclerosis, a diagnosis with primary progressive multiple sclerosis, and reduced to being in a wheelchair. So they moved to Amsterdam so you could have easy access to medicinal cannabis. And then the family was like, oh, that's wrong. Being a billionaire, that's not wrong. But pain management, wrong. But, she still loved her brother and was devastated by this whole story. And that guy, just like this other one, they were all extreme adventure enthusiasts. So let's talk about this guy. He wasn't just an adventure enthusiast. He loves destroying the planet. So he played a vital role in the translocation of African cheetahs to India in September. I don't understand why. Why are you doing that? Is that helpful? Maybe it is. I don't know anything about this. He's a Dubai-based British billionaire. So let's look at his job. He is the founder of Action Aviation, aircraft brokerage company. This interview with him was very insightful because what he loves doing is he loves the private jet industry. That is his contribution to society, is more private jets. And then when asked about, what counts for more, luck or hard work, I believe you make your own luck. Only a billionaire would say that. You create the environment around you where luck comes really? Because you are creating an environment around all of us that's destroying the planet. So if we have bad luck, it's because of you. God, these men have so much audacity. God, it's like, you know what? This is what Nepo babies who are like, yeah, I am a Nepo baby. And they just own it. And then they do good. Jane Fonda, Nepo baby. That woman has done nothing but activism her entire career. She owns it and then uses it for good. And then dudes like this are like, no, I worked hard for this. I got this because I created this environment for me to thrive. No, your daddy probably did. All of the privileges of being a white man certainly help. Being born in the UK? No, for him it's all based on your decisions, your anticipation of things going wrong. Funny you should say that. See, now we know that you're really terrible at that. Why were you not making decisions based on your anticipation of things going wrong? See, they talk like this, but they're full taking steps before they go wrong. I don't know, maybe you should have looked into this psychopath that you trusted your life with. What's one of your biggest lucky moments? I think I'm in one right now. The business jet market is amazing. It's booming. Because during the pandemic, people could afford them, people who could afford them. So me and my rich friends realized that we need private jets to travel and reduce health risk. Fork you! Oh my God, this dude's like, oh my God, I got so lucky because of the pandemic and I sold more jets. Do you see this, y'all? Most people, even though I like to think that there are good things that come out of tragedy too, but for this man to be like, I love the pandemic. Fork all those people who died and all the people who are disabled forever because of it, and all the people that are, continuing to get it, and all the housing crisis and all the financial stuff that is a result of all these companies taking advantage of that moment to become worse. I am one of them, and I sold more jets. There's currently a supply and demand issue. A huge number of people are trying to get business jets. Because again, if we need anything more right now, it is the more carbon footprint, which again, that is one of my biggest criticisms, not just of Taylor Swift, but all the people who are just like, meow, 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 without anything of like Drake, like all of them, all those people who are using these jets all the time. We are allowed to criticize you. If you could rule the world for a day, what would you change? Just listen to this. This is the only planet we have. At the moment, we really have got to get on better with each other. I recently went into space. I became a big astronaut, mommy. A rocket built by Jeff Bezos. Oh my God, he's amazing. One of the things we did while we were up there was spend good quality time looking down on Earth, like the big kings that we are, who rule the Earth. If everybody had a chance to do this, they too could see the world from a different perspective. Yeah, that's what we need. Everyone go do a trip to space that will ruin the planet more to then appreciate the planet. These dudes go to space and still don't appreciate the planet. I find this so fascinating to get into their head, how they justify the crazy stuff they're doing. Can you imagine telling people that everyone needs to go be a billionaire and go to space and look down on the planet to appreciate the planet? You don't need to do that. And him just talking down to everybody, like he understands, he appreciates the planet more than any of us, definitely more than indigenous people who know how to take care of nature way more than my people who are just, right? So if everyone could just see the world from up in space and pay, I don't know, $1 million to do it or whatever. So I'd like to try to get leaders to see that most of the conflict and disagreement really doesn't matter. Working together, so much more could be achieved. Well, what are you talking about? None of this even makes sense. Who's your dream mentor? Right now I can only think of one, Jeff Bezos. He built up a fantastic company that has people so exploited they piss in empty water bottles because they're not even allowed to use the bathroom. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were wearing diapers. But okay, a fantastic company. I'm so impressed by the whole operation. He's not trying to remain... This is about the whole like blue whatever, the space thing. He's not trying to make a return on equity. He is trying to do something very special for humanity. Sending rich people to space for fun while leaving a huge carbon footprint. Getting millions of people to space over the next few decades. Oh my God. Millions of people to space. That is what's good for humanity. So, of course, not only, does he think hard work and ambition have brought him everything in his material. That's definitely that. It's not generational wealth, not white privilege, able-bodied privilege, male privilege, passport privilege, and all the other things. But for all these qualities, he possesses another more puzzling characteristic, the need to push himself to the outer limits of human endeavor. In other words, I hate myself. I got everything, and I still hate myself. I'm telling you, dude, so many of all of our problems is because these dudes with all this power hate themselves, and therefore they just destroy everything. So besides all this crap he's done, blah, they all want to be in the Guinness Book of, he urged to venture and uncharted. Oh, that sounds like explorer, colonizer, grape culture, conquer, deflower. I'm telling you, and this is why so many men in the outdoor community, especially cishet men, right, who are committed to patriarchy in that way of living, that's how they date too. They date young climbers because they're more vulnerable and will believe all their BS. And it's like that purity culture crap. And the way that men think of Earth, not just men, but especially like this toxically masculine, like colonizer, like mindset is about like good and bad, pure, new, deflower, the virginity. In the climbing world, if you red point something, is that you're the first person to climb it and onset it. And so many of those dudes are worshipped because they're the first one to do it, the first one to conquer. And whenever time you read an article about Everest, almost all those dudes, at least the Western ones, are like conquer, 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 conquer. What do you think that's really about? I've talked about this in a lot of videos. Conquer women, conquer Earth, deflower. It's like all about winning. And if we want to know anything about what kind of dad this dude is and, just kind of sons he's raised. So he had 2 sons, and then he's a stepfather to a daughter and another son, and Brian. Remember Brian? This is Brian. The Brian who got dragged because he said some racist stuff to Cardi B. He was mourning by going to a Blink 182 concert or whatever, but he just wouldn't shut up. He posted the most unhinged tweets and even brought this woman into it. Like, he posted this and everyone was like, this dude is pathological liar. I mean, look at these tweets. Because this woman was like, I don't know this guy. I signed his shoe. There was a meet and greet. I had no idea who he was. Later, he's been blocked and banned from all my shows since. And she's like, apparently he's been saying that I support him during this time. Like, this dude just posted her photo. Anyway, just unhinged. And shocker, he was once arrested for stalking. So this is the stepson of that dude who thinks like that. The acorn doesn't fall, acorn doesn't fall far from the tree, whatever. But what was this journey really about? And a man obsessed with adventure, a man who can never have enough money, and all the things I've already talked about. But this is what it was really about. Oil. It's not even about rich people tourism, although that is bad. That is just like a little extra money they want to make. It's really about tapping in to oil. Stockton Rush, the CEO of the company, said in 2000 that he aimed for the vessel to eventually help him obtain contracts with companies mining oil and gas from the ocean. I'm telling you, everything always comes down to money. Whether it's billionaires or the United States government and our military, everything is about money. He said he expected the demand for tours with his company, OceanGate, to diminish as more wealthy people adventurers embarked on the deep sea dive. So he's like, let's just send a bunch of rich people down there, make some money off of them or whatever. But the whole point, because they're basically going to fall off. There's not enough rich people to take this stupid trip. The whole point is to prove that they can hire him to go get gas and oil. The first few dives to the Titanic would fetch the highest prices, but customers would expect to pay less as it became more common for people to see the wreck. He hoped that by the time tourists weren't as interested in adventure dives to Titan, the deep sea trips, that he have proven the safety of his submersive technology to oil and gas companies. So his first trip, everyone died. Great track record. But seriously, he's just like, yeah, cutting corners. Literally, like, I've been warned, it's not safe. I'm using a video game controller, but I gotta prove because I want the oil contracts. And I don't care if I have to sacrifice all my rich friends to do it. The biggest resource is oil and gas, and they spend about $16 billion a year on robots to service oil and gas platforms. He said companies which harvest these resources are averse to adopting brand new technology and need the equipment to be proven. So I'm going to send my rich friends down there to prove that I am a great candidate for these contracts that will make me even richer because it's never enough. And shocker, he is the grandson of oil and gas magnate Ralph Davies and was interested in oil and gas reserves, diamonds, and rare, come on, this guy was, everything happening in Congo, everything, the diamond industry, like blood diamond, none of anything that these men are ever doing. They will have some organization to help youth and Don't believe it. It's all a cover. It's all about exploitation and colonizing and capitalism and their little fragile ego that doesn't know what to do without being worshipped. There's all these resources to be explored. I would always, when you see that word, know what it really means. Explored or conquered or exploited or stolen. It's not about exploitation. For scientists, maybe, but never for billionaires and companies. And he was like, they've been funding it through universities and research and stuff. Nobody thought, me. And of course, this dude, besides research, he wanted adventure. He's part of this rich person explorers club, elite group of scientists and explorers. Look, I got nothing against curiosity. I'm one of the most curious people. That's how I end up doing this, because I was like, wait, I gotta know more, right? Curiosity's great. Curiosity also killed the cat. Unchecked curiosity, unchecked ambition, unchecked entitlement is what's ruining everything and has been for a while. This dude tried to get college students to make it cheaper. $50,000 cheaper. They did this by purchasing parts from a local store. And yeah, it's funny how many people that they almost got killed on this thing. And the same thing that this is all the same, y'all. They want us to be all concerned about like terrorists, when really planes falling apart in the sky piece by piece like a Looney Tunes short where the passengers start. God, you know what? And we know what they do to the whistleblowers of Boeing. Like Boeing is a god. But this all makes sense because this dude, much like Elon and his little diamond mine or whatever, comes from money. Like founding father signed the Declaration of Independence kind of money. Whether it's old wealth or new wealth like this dude, they're just frat boys looking to conquer. So I'm not here to say that again, I don't believe that it's all bad, all good, but I do see billionaires as like sick. Just like anyone with an addiction, it's a sickness. And then also like this hierarchical domination, like this stuff that like white supremacy culture and patriarchy and toxic masculinity and all of this like stuff that we are taught through movies and films and the media that worships those dudes. Whether they are, explorers like climbers who live in their truck, or they're billionaires who want to go to space to prove what a big tough boy they are. The media worships them. Movies worship them. And women just trust these men, right? Please stop trusting these men. As your guides, as if you're doing an adventure, look for emotional intelligence and humility, because if they don't have that, they are going to be terrible guides, and they're going to be terrible fathers, and they're going to be terrible husbands. Whether they're trying to age backwards because they think their life is so valuable they should live forever. None of us should, but they should. Like, they either want to live forever or they have a death wish. And that's fine. If you have a death wish and you want to do this stuff, you go do you, as long as you are not hurting the environment, hurting other people, and putting the whole world in danger because you just hate yourself. And if you bring your kids or your dog into these dangerous situations, like, I'm not saying dogs can't go to climbing sites or dogs, but when you do this is so dangerous. If that had been a child on his back, people would have been even more upset. But people were really upset by this. The same reason people are upset that all these people are making money off of putting their children on the internet and exploiting them, like that dude from the Ashley Madison thing that literally exploits his wife, his daughters, his own children, and all the women on the internet. Exploit to build his ego and his self-esteem, because nothing is ever enough. Nothing. So do what you want to do, but don't bring your babies up here, your dogs up here, and maybe don't even have kids if you are not going to tone it down a bit. The entitlement of thinking that you should have access to anything you want to do because it's fun, because it's exciting, because you just should, right? That mentality is why we are in this huge crisis right now. And men like that would not be able to exist without women who enable them, women who take care of them, women who do all the things so they can continue to keep climbing, keep exploiting. Oh, hi, Lucky. Moses on strike right now. I mean, when he doesn't want to be on camera, I don't make him like, it's not that hard. Some days he just really doesn't want to be on camera. And this one wants to be on camera. Then it's you, I guess. You don't even know what it is. I'm convinced he knows exactly what every time. Anyway, so stop trusting these men. They'll take all your money. Every decision that they make that's poor, you will suffer from more than even they will, other than their own death. But even that, the people they leave behind suffer greatly. Thanks for being here. Like, comment, share. Join my Patreon. I do lots of fun stuff over there that I don't share here. Pictures, videos, also my lives, all kinds of stuff. Please go check it out. The link is in my caption. Et voila!